shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Winter storm watches and warnings for the entire viewing area starting tomorrow morning. I'll walk you through it.
Waiting to make the call. School districts are making decisions on classes as the storm approaches. Why Wake County is not considering remote learning.
And a crash landing in Toronto. What investigators say could have played a role in this plane crash where all 80 on board survived. They are calling that a miracle this morning. We will get to that coming up. Thanks for joining us here on your Tuesday morning. I'm Michelle McConaughey in for NHU.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. It is great to have you along here as we get our Tuesday started together, one day closer to that Wednesday, pinpointing that day for a lot of action. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with those winter weather alerts. These are overnight new.
Yes, exactly. So a part of the viewing area went under a winter storm warning early this morning. The rest of the region under a winter storm watch is likely to be upgraded as well as we get more information. These all come from the National Weather Service. This is a look at our snowfall forecast right here across the middle of the viewing area from the triangle, looking at anywhere from 1 to 4 inches. That gets higher as you go farther north, 4 to 6 in our northern counties. And then, of course, from Smithfield to Sanford to Lillington. Notice Wake County is in 3 different levels there of potential for snow. We zoom in again, Fuquay-Varina, maybe more like an inch of snow and sleet. Raleigh-Cary Apex 1 to 2, Wake Forest northward 2 to 4. We also have the potential for freezing rain, especially from the triangle area southward. This is where we'd have a better chance for power outages. Roads are going to be messy for us. We're already starting to see the precipitation, some snow up to our north and west, but that high pressure system sitting there will keep things dry for us today. We move through time, and tomorrow we'll likely see the precipitation beginning between 9 and 10 in the morning. The purple shaded area is where it's going to be a wintry mix, and from the triangle area or from Raleigh northward, we're looking at snow, definitely looking like some accumulated snow, especially for parts of Wake County. It starts to move out by early on Thursday, and we'll be back to some sunshine. We take a look at what's happening out there for us right now. 31 degrees is our temperature, and our highs this afternoon will be in the low 50s. Today's a nice quiet day with some sunshine.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. And we have team coverage this morning, keeping an eye on how emergency crews are preparing to keep you and your family safe during the storm. Let's start with WRAL's Laura Levine, who is live at Duke Energy headquarters in downtown Raleigh. Laura, Duke Energy crews, they're preparing for the snow, but also the chance for some ice.
They're on standby. Good morning, Michelle. So Duke Energy has thousands of line and tree crews ready to respond to this storm. The only problem right now is that it's pretty hard to predict where they will see those widespread outages. And here's why. Spokesperson Jeff Brooks says that the 2 key factors, precipitation type and accumulation, will determine how crews respond. So heavy snow can weigh down tree limbs and bring them down onto power lines, while even a small amount of ice can cause similar damage. As conditions evolve, power crews will assess the hardest hit areas and deploy additional resources as needed to restore service. Brooks said the improvements to their self-healing technology should limit the effects of power outages.
An outage could last 8 hours versus an outage that lasts maybe a minute. And so if we can reduce the number of customers that are affected by an outage, that's really important.
And he says the best thing that you can do right now as a customer is to download that Duke Energy app. That's the easiest and quickest way to report any outages in your community. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
DOT crews will be out on roads again today, making sure they're well brined ahead of any winter weather. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the NCDOT maintenance yard right now. Kelsey, traveling tomorrow and Thursday, it is expected to be quite a mess.
Yes, Jeff, and dozens of brine trucks are here in the maintenance yard this morning. And NCDOT crews are working overtime to be prepared ahead of this winter storm. Now, our cameras were there as some of the first brining trucks went out on the road Sunday. Those operations will continue through tomorrow morning until that winter weather moves in. NCDOT crews have been keeping an eye on the forecast, preparing for a mix of snow, ice, and freezing rain across multiple counties. They're focusing on brining the areas that freeze first, like bridges and interstates. Here's Doug McNeil with NCDOT.
We generally will be putting out about 200 to 300,000 gallons of brine in advance of the storm. That takes us generally about 2.5 days. Fortunately, we have good ground temperatures, are nice and warm. We were able to, and the air temperatures are good, so we've been able to apply through the night.
NCDOT is preparing for a large response in all of those counties that are near the Virginia line. McNeil says that they're expecting to see the most accumulation they've seen in that area in the past 8 or 9 years. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And school systems are working to decide whether to cancel classes for the incoming winter storm. Some have used remote learning in the past, but Wake County has not taken that step yet. Most districts set aside so-called banked days in anticipation of snow closures or school closures throughout the year. Wake County Schools' current policy requires the district to use all of its banked days and work days before it turns to virtual instruction. Last month, school board members spoke about revisiting their remote learning policy.
Ask would be, can we consider using remote instruction before we've exhausted those in-person makeup days?
So that we have that option that to fall back on for learning without the need for the conveniences of our days.
And the superintendent is studying the issue before board members will make any changes. And make sure you have the WRAL News app with notifications turned on. We'll alert you to changing weather conditions and traffic issues across the area.
Dozens of flights in and out of Toronto's airport are delayed or canceled this morning after this plane crash left that plane flipped over on the runway. At least 18 people were hurt in the crash. No one was killed. 76 passengers, 4 crew members were on that Delta flight from Minneapolis yesterday afternoon. The crash sheared off the plane's wings and its tail. Investigators from both the U.S. and Canada are working to learn what caused the crash. Wind gusts of up to 40 miles an hour in the area may have played a role.
With it being that gusty, I think it's possible the wing may have touched the runway due to a gust. And if that's the case, then the rest of this makes sense. But the recorders are going to show that.
Canadian aviation teams are leading the investigation into the crash.
A bail hearing is set today for the apparent leader and another member of a cult-like group known as the Zizians. Jack Lasota was arrested Sunday along with Michelle Jaco in Maryland. They face multiple charges, including trespassing, obstructing and hindering, and possession of a handgun in the vehicle. The Zizians have been tied to the killing of a U.S. Border Patrol agent near the Canadian border back in January and 5 other homicides in Vermont, Pennsylvania, and California. They have also been tied to a home in a Chatham County neighborhood. The FBI was seen searching the property earlier this month.
The acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration has stepped down after refusing requests from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to access sensitive government records. Michelle King left her position over the weekend. A White House spokesperson confirmed the report that was first published in the Washington Post. Musk's Doge has reportedly asked for bank information, social security numbers, earning records, and other sensitive data.
Happening now, top officials from the U.S. and Russia are in Saudi Arabia today negotiating to end the war in Ukraine. Officials from Ukraine, however, are not part of that discussion. The talks could redraw the map of Ukraine. Russian troops currently occupy about 20% of Ukraine's territory. Ukrainian officials fear that President Trump may carve off those areas and give them to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine will not accept a deal it is not a part of.
A bipartisan group of senators visited Ukraine following the Munich Security Conference. They met with civil groups working to document alleged war crimes. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis said it's time for all parties to negotiate a resolution to end the suffering. Meanwhile, Democratic Senator Jeannie Shaheen called Putin a war criminal who cannot be trusted. Hit by flying metal, a school bus driver keeps control after his windshield got smashed.
It looked like a glitter party went horribly wrong.
At the moment, others on that bus rushed to help.
And unprecedented layoffs. The number of jobs Southwest is cutting in the first mass layoff in the company's history.
And we give you this live look. And Zebulon, good morning to you. Tomorrow is a WRAL weather alert day as a winter storm is moving into North Carolina. Which of you'll see, what you'll see more of, the snow or ice? We'll tell you when we get back.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
4:43, taking a look at a nice quiet morning. It's cold out there, 29 this morning in Wilson. It's 31 in Durham and 31 in Fayetteville, but our skies are clear, and today will be a nice quiet day as we get ready for tomorrow. So you have plenty of time. We're not going to start to see the precipitation until around 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So you have the rest of the day today and this evening, to get prepared, whatever you need to do for, the potential for not getting out and about much for Wednesday and Thursday. Our temperature, 32 in Lewisburg, 27 Tarboro, 31 Fayetteville, 27 in Irwin. And we take a look at our school day forecast. They're going to school today, but they're probably not after today. Temperatures this afternoon will be in the low 50s with plenty of sunshine. Coming up, we'll walk you again through the timeline for our wintry precipitation.
Firefighters in Pennsylvania are battling a massive fire at an industrial plant this morning. This is happening about 10 miles from Philadelphia. A shelter-in-place order was issued for those within a half-mile radius of this complex. People were told to stay inside because of dangerous smoke and air quality concerns. We know the plant is a supplier for aerospace fasteners and fittings. So far, no injuries have been reported.
One person is dead and another is in critical condition after a shooting outside a Virginia grocery store. The suspected shooter is also dead after being shot by a bystander. The shooting happened at a Harris Teeter about 15 miles west of Charlottesville. Police say a person started shooting in the parking lot, hitting two people. They say another person who was leaving the grocery store saw what was happening and pulled out their own weapon to shoot the gunman. Police say they are investigating the relationship between the victims and the suspected shooter.
Southwest Airlines is cutting 15% of its corporate workforce. That amounts to more than 1,700 people. This is the first major layoff in the company's 53-year history. The cuts are expected to start in April and will include senior leadership. 11 senior executives, including some vice presidents, will be let go. Southwest says it expects the layoffs will save the company $210 million this year and $300 million next year.
A school bus driver in Washington state is praised for keeping his calm after a metal bar flew through his windshield and struck him in the chest. Stuart O'Leary was traveling down an interstate near Seattle earlier this month, taking a high school girls basketball team to their game. All of a sudden, a piece of metal comes crashing through the windshield, hitting him in the chest, and it was all caught on camera.
Something came through the windshield at a pretty good clip. I'm guessing about 60 miles an hour. That's about what I was doing.
Oh my gosh, he is so lucky he's okay. O'Leary kept his hands on the wheel while two coaches on board came to help him. Thankfully, the object only bruised him. He was back on the job the next week and kept that metal bar as a souvenir. Wow.
Could have killed him. Wow. This afternoon, Governor Josh Stein will present 3 North Carolinians with the highest honor the governor can give, the Order of the Longleaf Pine. Today's honorees include outgoing Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson, business leader Tom Lambeth, and former State Health Director Betsy Tilson. All 3 will be recognized for dedicating their careers to serving the public. The ceremony is this afternoon, 2:30 at the Governor's Mansion.
And we are following the potential for a winter storm. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. She is working very hard to track the timing of everything. Who's going to see snow? Who's going to see ice? Who's going to see the most snow? Chris Michaels also in the WRAL Weather Center working very hard. She is here now with a look at where the storm is right now.
You can see snow already across parts of the Midwest and stretching back here. This is a low pressure system that's going to start to sink southward and move our way. This high pressure system keeps things nice and quiet and dry for today. Temperatures this afternoon should be close to normal in the 50s. This is a look at what we're expecting for tomorrow. It's a little bit of a complicated map, but the pink shaded area is a winter storm warning. Most likely the remainder of the viewing area will go under that warning as well. These watches and warnings come from the National Weather Service, and they're waiting until they see the next runs of the computer models to decide if they're going to update it. Most likely they will. It looks like probably that's going to meet the criteria. There's there's a certain criteria, of course, for a winter storm warning or a winter storm watch. And so they're just waiting to see if we meet the criteria. Let's start with our snowfall forecast, and the blue shaded area up north, 4 to 6 inches. So that's going to be fairly significant. And then we're going to see a very distinct cutoff between who really sees snow and who doesn't. You know, if you've been here for a while, you're totally familiar with this. You know how that goes. Let's zoom in a little bit here around Wake County in particular, because Wake County is really going to be that cutoff zone. So the southern part of Wake County, so Fuquay, Varina, down toward Anger, we may see less than an inch of snow and sleet and more freezing rain. And then right here in the middle, so Raleigh, Garner, Apex, Holly Springs, 1 to 2 inches of snow with some sleet. And then it just gets higher as you go northward, the north part of the county, Wake Forest, 2 to 4 inches. That will include Chapel Hill and Durham, and back over towards, say, the northern part of Nash County. Here's our freezing rain forecast. We may see some of that from Durham to Raleigh to Rocky Mount, but the amount there would be fairly minimal. In the pink shaded area, Smithfield, Goldsboro, Lillington, down toward Clinton, that's where we could see heavy amounts of freezing rain, so much that we could end up with some power outages. So that's going to be our best chance of power outages south and east of the triangle. Let's take a look at Futurecast. We'll kick things off at around 4 a.m. and by 9 to 10, we start to see the precipitation moving in. Blue is snow, of course. The pink shaded area is a wintry mix. Now, that could be snow and sleet. That could be sleet and freezing rain. It doesn't really distinguish between that. But you can see, again, from Raleigh south and east, that's where things are pink. And then Wake County northward, it stays blue for almost the entire event. That event does continue with some light snow overnight and into Thursday morning. So we could still see this lasting into the day on Thursday. So we're going to be dealing with a whole bunch out there. Fayetteville, you're going to see mostly some sleet and some freezing rain, very little snow here. Right now, we're looking at 31 degrees as our current temperature in the Triangle, as well as Fayetteville and Clinton. It's 29 in Rocky Mount and 32 in Roxborough. Our temperatures today, again, not bad, 51, but then colder tomorrow. We'll see highs near freezing and then in the mid-30s on Thursday. After that, we warm things up over the weekend. We're into the 40s and 50s.
Thanks, Elizabeth. A bear brawl caught on camera. We're going to show you this wild video captured from a back porch in Florida.
Wow. And a milestone for the Wilson Warbirds, the event happening today at the baseball team's future stadium. You'll soon need a real ID when you fly domestically. The deadline to get the new card is May 7th. And in today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan explains what you need to get yours.
Passengers flying domestically will soon be required to have a real ID. It's a special type of identification card or driver's license that meets federal security standards. And in most states, real IDs will have a star in the right-hand corner. Some states, like California, will have a slight variation to the design, but the star will still be there.
At the very least, if you don't have it, it's really going to hold you up at TSA.
The deadline to update your license or ID is May 7th. If you don't get a real ID by that date, you'll need your passport or other acceptable identification document to fly.
It's right before Memorial Day, so make sure you're taking care of it now.
So what's behind the change? Following the 9/11 attacks, the federal government set new security standards to obtain a state-issued driver's license and ID card. You'll also need a real ID to enter certain federal buildings after May 7th. Here's what you'll need at the DMV to get a real ID. Some states may require proof of a social security number, either your original social security card or a tax document or pay stub showing your full social security number. You may need to show 2 forms proving your address, like a utility bill or bank statement, proof of status, such as a U.S. passport, U.S. birth certificate, or a permanent resident card, and proof of citizenship if you're not a U.S. citizen. And remember, some DMVs require you to make an appointment in advance, so plan ahead. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
A major snowstorm is making its way through parts of New York. This is a live look right now driving near Syracuse, New York. Days of snow and freezing temperatures have created quite a mess on the roads there and in people's driveways. People are working to clear paths, and officials say the wind has also become an issue by blowing that snow back onto roads and driveways.
A wild video out of Florida. Take a look at this. A fight between two black bears on a person's back porch. It was all caught on camera. This happened in the city of Longwood. That's about 20 minutes from Orlando. And the video shows a large black bear walking onto the porch. And a few seconds later, there you go, another black bear appears in the backyard. Then they start to attack each other. The woman who shared the video says she sees all kinds of animals on her porch, including bobcats and alligators. It's Florida, so that's normal.
It's a big old turf war. I wouldn't want to referee that. Today, the future home of the Wilson Warbirds minor league baseball team celebrates a milestone. The crew building the Wilson Sports and Entertainment Complex will hold its topping out ceremony today. That means it'll install the steel at the highest point of the stadium. The ceremony starts at 11 o'clock this morning. Carolina Mudcats will be moving to Wilson and become the Warbirds next spring.
The Wake County Sheriff's Office is celebrating a very successful fundraiser. They raised more than $2,000 for the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics North Carolina. The fundraiser was hosted at Angie's Restaurant, where attendees got to enjoy a delicious Valentine's Day meal. Well, keeping an eye on the storm, the improvements Duke Energy has made to their technology to help keep your power on.
Plane toppled in Toronto. The delays and cancellations at Pearson International Airport this morning as that investigation moves forward.
And a bobcat attack, what a local man says happened right before the wild animal bit his arms and his neck.